Thank you for tuning in. With the new relationships that are going on in terms of being able to bring about an awareness of issues, and specifically because of the changes that are being made with the new administration in our federal government, the climate of making changes is beginning to take effect in the local community, and specifically in terms of what type of leadership is going to take the lead role. We're here now with Mr. William Rutherford, who happens to be the former president of the state NAACP and the current candidate to be reelected as the state representative for the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. Reverend Rutherford, thank you very much for allowing me to have an opportunity to talk with you on some very critical issues that people in our community are not being, I would say, given a fair share of understanding of. In most cases, we know the media is what it is.
Right.
It has the ability to influence people to believe things that may not be clear, and certainly a lot of things that may not be true. But specifically, we do know, to the advantage of what the brand, the NAACP, has stood for since 1900, basically, has always been to bring fairness and equality. Explain to us exactly where the NAACP fits in regard to the reform movement.
Well, as you know, Herb, the NAACP was really organized in 1908 as a result of actions that were taking place in the initial organization of the Niagara movement. And it has come across the years now. We're more than 100 years old, 102 years old to be exact. And right now we find ourselves at a critical crossroads in terms of our interactions with politics and the issues of the day, and how to continue to make life better for our people and other people. And so we're in the midst now. We're at the crossroads, and which way we're going is kind of up in the air at the moment, but we are here to do what we can to continue to preserve civil rights and make life better for all people, and to encourage those who are in the seats of power to do the right thing.
Initially, I guess, with the relationship of it being a not-for-profit organization that is exempt from any political endorsements, still completely enough, it wasn't anything to say that the NAACP could not have had a good favor in the current role of our now president. And dealing with the nuance of many of the discoveries that are going on in relationship to the opposition, race still does matter.
Yes, it does.
Where do you separate the line?
Well, it's difficult to draw a line. Race still matters, and of course, as you just stated, the NAACP is nonprofit. We are nonpartisan. We don't endorse Democrats or Republicans or independents. We don't have permanent enemies. We don't have permanent friends, but we have permanent interests.
And thinking in terms of that permanent interest, in terms of now the new leadership that we have in the federal government, is it really fair to say that the interest that the NAACP has been successful in regard to its plight to want to see equality?
Yes, you're correct in saying that. We've had massive tracks of progress made across the years in terms of how we have deemed life to be, and we continue to do that, and we continue to work with people that we find with common interests as our interests. And there's more that unites us than separates us. And so we're vigilant in finding those grounds where we can work with all people on issues that makes life better for all people.
Now, when we think about those kinds of issues, and we look at the types of situations that are occurring today, is the NAACP in support of the types of protests that are going on in relationship to the problems that we're having with financing?
Yes and no. Yes, we are in support of the movement, but no, we do not support the blocking of people trying to get to work. We do not support what Mr. Newt Gingrich said about ending the protest, take a bath, and then go get a job. There are jobs. We are in a jobless economy, and so there aren't any jobs to go get. But we do support the effort of protest, the 99% against the benefits of the 1%. We feel that there needs to be more fairness and equity and disparity between the 1% and the 99%.
In relationship to how government actually works, the majority of the things that are structured are policies that are enacted from the state and local government in that regard. Do you think effectively in New Jersey, the state and local government is really applying the right types of interests for the changes that are going to be necessary that's invoked by policy from the federal government?
No, because the changes that are being orchestrated are more for political reasons than for community reasons. And therefore, we find ourselves being at odds with the current administration and some of the policies that are being put forth because they are more politically motivated toward the next elections than community helpful.
And, can you be specific in terms of what areas do you think are more politically motivated than helping to develop communities?
Education is more politically motivated than helping the students. If we could find a way to get politics out of education, I think we would be able to retain more of our students in school. The high school dropout rate would be lessened. The incarceration rate would be lessened. But because we cannot find that common denominator, that medium, we have all of these other problems that I consider to be collateral damage to political situations where politics governs the day.
Well, as you know, We Care Partners has been actively involved in creating awareness around the issue of health and health care.
Yeah.
And the dynamics of it is the evolution of federal policy. Do you think that the adaptation of healthcare reform is being modeled properly from the state level?
Yes and no. There again, yes, I think they are trying to get at the issue, but to get at the issue is not the closing of hospitals. And no, I think there again, politics rules the day. The decisions that are being made in terms of health are more politically motivated than health interests are being taken into consideration.
And when you say politically motivated, I guess you're talking more partisanship.
Yeah.
More in terms of being competitive, opposed to really developing ways in which we can change the standards so that they can grow and make things better for our communities.
Right. Good example is the Health Care Act, the bill that our President Barack Obama signed last year that created so much rift. All Republicans say it's bad legislation, and they declare that they are going to overturn it once they regain the White House. But I believe that what our president did was just a start. It's not a panacea, but just a start to move us toward equal health for all people. And so right now you have health care for the privileged as opposed to minimal care for the non-privileged. And so when we look at health care and politics and all of that go along with it, everybody that's against the president is against the health care bill. And right now it's going before the U.S. Supreme Court, and I believe they're going to hear the case in March of next year. And the Republicans are hoping that the Supreme Court will deem that that bill is unconstitutional and thus knock it down. Me, I'm hoping that the Supreme Court will uphold the bill and that it will be another step toward good health care for all people in this nation.
Do you think that there should be a mobilization of activities in support of the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act?
I think there should be. And a good example of that, a few years ago, we rallied and supported affirmative action, going all the way to the Supreme Court and protesting on the steps of the Supreme Court for affirmative action in the Michigan case. And in that situation, the Supreme Court sided with the people and upheld affirmative action instead of knocking it down as being unconstitutional.
Earlier in the year, there was discussion in regard to the type of ways in which individuals are trying to prevent themselves from diseases and, from being in a position where they have illnesses. Mm-hmm. And there was a report that came out from the medical community indicating that vitamins were not good. Mm-hmm. Is prescription medication the best source that we can be able to recommend to people so that they can feel that they are being given adequate health care?
No, I don't believe so. But then when you talk about medicines and prescriptions, some medicines are helpful and others bear a more of a psychological effect on folk. If you believe it's going to help you, it's going to help you. Mm. But I think that as we look at the pharmaceuticals and medicine and health care, we need to understand that we are in a capitalistic society, and profit is the bottom line. And so in healthcare and medicines, pharmacy, they're charging all that they think the marketplace will bear to enhance their bottom line. Mm-hmm. And I think something needs to be done to bring that more in line so that more people can afford to get these drugs that will help their conditions in life.
And Reverend Rutherford, and those of you who are watching, we're here with Reverend Rutherford, Reverend H. William Rutherford,
yes,
who is the former president of the Irvington NAACP, right, and is the current candidate for president. You were a former president, so you understand the dynamics of what happens on a statewide level, being a candidate for the state presidency again. And I didn't introduce that conversation because I know you're not a healthcare professional. Mm-hmm. But what I really want to do is excite a conversation about the relationship that medication has on our communities. Mm-hmm. Prescription medications are now being relegated as a silent epidemic where the abuse exists.
Right.
In the next 4 to 6 months, the president's promise is going to really take into effect where a number of our troops are going to be coming home. Mm-hmm. Prescription medications has been one of the areas that was provided as treatment to those individuals. Mm-hmm. When those individuals come back home, many of them are going to be addicted. Mm-hmm. Do you think that we're adequately getting ready for the onslaught of the changes in our community once the military people come back home?
No, I don't think we are adequately prepared to receive them when they come back. But I believe that we will be able to do what is necessary to continue to treat them because of their addictions that they have acquired while being on the battlefield. But there's a lot of work that needs to be done. There will be more veterans coming back than can be serviced, and that will create a problem.
Well, now it's interesting because that's the same thing that we look at with the healthcare crisis, mm-hmm, where we are doing reforms, but those reforms, the impact of the amount of people that will have an opportunity to have healthcare, we won't have enough enough of the care providers. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I'm thinking about is that if we're not going to have enough care providers for the regular community, and then we're going to have this condition where individuals are going to come back that's going to really need a lot of services, mm-hmm, could that be the reason why the competition is holding back on the president's plan to reform healthcare?
It could be. It could be. I'm not certain, but it could be. Could be a reason why they're holding back on this plan.
Because, and then when we look at it with the changes that have been made in policy, mm-hmm, for the legalization of marijuana, for instance, mm-hmm, that in a sense makes a number of our children who have been arrested for having medical or marijuana in particular. In some instances, they may be political prisoners now. So we're going to have to be letting a lot of individuals go,
Right.
or are we going to consider the fact that because of the way that the law has been written, individuals who think that it's legalized is not going to get the kind of opportunity to feel that they can be freely able to use it, and then they're going to be carted off to jail still.
Well, I think that they should be released and let go. And it's not only is that true with marijuana, but it's true with crack cocaine. We have a lot of young people that are incarcerated today because of a few ounces of crack cocaine, whereas if they rewrite the law, they'll have to let those people out of jail, because then they would become political prisoners, just as you stated. And there's a disparity between the crack cocaine and powder cocaine. Crack cocaine is prevalent in the African American inner city communities. Powdered cocaine is prevalently in the suburbs, and those that usually use it are white, so there's a different sentencing structure there, and I think that the structure should be the same for all people. And yeah, so if things are changed, people will have to be let free from those sentences that they have received under the present law.
Well, I think that is really important that I, advance an opportunity to ask for support, whether it becomes evident that you are part of the current leadership, and certainly you're not going to be lost within the leadership. Once the resolution has been made, we're going to do what we can to continue to support the efforts of your organization, my organization.
Right,
I am a life member of the NAACP, and we would like to encourage everyone who's watching this program to get actively involved in finding out what the NAACP can be able to do. And to be quite frank, it can't do anything without you.
That's right.
Those are the major important factors behind the way the organization works. Reverend Rutherford, we're very happy that that you are taking the time now to share your points of view about issues. There are others, and we will be looking forward to advancing an opportunity maybe once a month, where we will have you share your interest of opportunity to tell us exactly what should be really done in terms of focusing the new way of developing leadership in our community. We thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you very much for having me.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay.